Hello and welcome to a Blogging Heads debate between myself, Mickey Kaus, and David Frum, who's graciously let us use the Atlantic's hub at the Republican convention. It's really nice, David. If you go never Frum, this is all they give you. It's like never Trump. Sorry.
We're actually in the green room. In the main space, Senator Tom Cotton is talking to a room full of journalists and boulevardiers. So we're in the back here, in where they were storing Tom Cotton. But now they've got us, and we're ready to deal with the issues of the day.
And we do. This is. I wanted to have this talk because there are issues here that we're friends that could be clarified, and I think it'll be useful. My position is, here we have a candidate. You and I agree on many of these issues. We agree that they're tectonic forces, as Hillary Clinton said correctly, that are driving down the wages of average Americans with basic skills. Those forces are trade, immigration, and technology.
Right.
Here we have a candidate who agrees with us on that. He wants to do something about these tectonic forces, at least two of them. He's skeptical of the benefits of Canadian mass immigration and wants to get control of the borders. And he's very skeptical of trade and wants to somehow, who knows in what way, slow down the process or have it accrete to Democrats' advantage, to Americans' advantage. So my question is, why aren't you for it?
Because, do you know the story of the Plotkin diamond?
I don't know the story of the Plotkin diamond. I read it on your Twitter, but I may not have got the full story.
So the story is that two women are in the beauty parlor together, and one glances at the ring of the other and says, that's an astonishing ring. And the wearer of the ring says, this is indeed a beautiful ring, and at the center is a legendary diamond. This is the Plotkin diamond. It's a diamond that is fabled in history. It is indeed immensely precious, and as you say, very beautiful. But it comes, alas, with a terrible curse. Curse, how romantic. What is the curse? The curse is Mr. Plotkin. And I think the problem is, we've got the Plotkin diamond here. It comes with Mr. Plotkin.
Okay. So your problem is with Trump the man, not Trump, a person who didn't have Trump's character, who had his policies, and maybe had horrible, vulgar tastes, and put gold everywhere, and had a bad haircut.
Oh, no,
that wouldn't bother you.
The taste, I think, is necessary. I wrote a novel about politics, and there's a scene in it where one of the characters says to the other, the American people will forgive a rich man anything until he starts collecting modern art. Then they think he's making fun of them. So obviously, if you're going to have a very rich man run for president, he must have bad taste. That's indispensable.
Okay, that's like the John Edwards defense for his big house. It was just an ordinary house, 10 times the size of an average American middle-class house. Okay, I buy that. I buy that's your disagreement. But so let's focus on that. I see Trump mainly as a Berlusconi type. He's a businessman. He's vulgar. He's got all sorts of impulsive, egomaniacal qualities. But he's not going to destroy the republic, and we know who he is because he's given us a window onto his soul with his egomaniacal Twitters. So
why are you so sure he's not going to destroy the republic?
Well, the only way I can think, and I've written this, that I would worry that he would destroy the republic is by pressing the button. I worry about the nuclear thing that everybody's trying to scare Trump supporters about. I'm scared by. Okay, I think that's a genuine concern, but there are ways to alleviate that. Put that aside, we have a robust Constitution that is specifically designed to contain people like this. Should he prove to justify your fears, the courts will rise up as one and enthusiastically constrain him. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be Nixon. He will be constrained. He will lose every lawsuit. So if he tries to exceed his powers. So unless you think he's going to defy the Supreme Court, for which he will get no support, he's just not such an existential threat.
Here we are in Ohio. This is a state that the Republicans absolutely must win in order to get to the White House. And I promise this is relevant to what you just said. Must win. No Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. And Trump, of course, has no money and no organization. He is completely beholden to the local Ohio Republican Party to deliver the state for him in November. And what has he done? He has gone out and he has picked a fight with the very popular two-term governor of the state who needs nothing from him, and with that state's Republican senator who may need a little something from him, but whom he needs more from. The point is that this character has no ability to manage relationships to his own strategic advantage. So what do I worry about in a Trump presidency? I don't worry that he will stumble into a nuclear war. I think there'll be a lot of innovation. Well, I do worry about that a little. What I mostly worry about is he will shatter relationships around the world that America needs because he has no ability to govern himself, no sense of the interests of the nation, independent and bigger than his own ego imperatives. And as we're seeing today with this is the very day we record this, where pro-Ukraine language is being excised from the Republican platform by a campaign manager who has taken a lot of money from the non-democratic prior government of Ukraine. I worry a lot about his international relationships. The thing that drives me, because we talk. This goes back to the why do I care so much about this immigration issue? As you said, you and I agree about it. I care about the strength and greatness of America as a leader of an association of free nations that has brought the planet a kind of stability and prosperity since 1945, never before seen in the history of the world, and not a permanent achievement, not something to be taken for granted. Mass migration has been destabilizing, but it is not the only thing that could be destabilizing, and there are other things that could be destabilizing that Trump seems very keen to do, or in fact has already done.
But first, if he stops mass migration, or AIDS encourages people to fall back on a responsible nationalism that doesn't allow half the population of Africa to move to Europe, that would be a good thing for world stability.
That would be a good thing, but the only way you're going to stop mass migration to Europe is with coordinated NATO-led military intervention. You need a Coast Guard. You need naval vessels. You need policy, and we have to do it together. That, in fact, it's been one of the things that's been going on in Europe has been the narrow nationalism of Germany has inflicted this problem on the entire continent.
But Germany changed, as I understand it, unilaterally changed the rules.
Right.
So, that acted as a magnet. If they change the rules back, who needs the military force? That turns off the magnet.
Because what you have to, the migrants are still going for some time to come. Are going to start from either Libya or Greece. They're going to come by boat. They build the boats intending them to sink. By the way, it's not a tragic accident that those boats keep sinking. They're built to sink. So they have to be fished out by a navy, and then the decision is made. Once you fish the people out, do you put them back where they came from, or do you land them in Italy? And the EU conception of international law says they have to be landed in Italy. So if the EU, so there has to be a boat there to save these people. The boat has to pick them up and put them back on the shore of Libya or Tunisia. That has to be broadly agreed. It's a coordinated, alliance-led action. And if you're going to solve these problems, it's both a means and a goal that we have to do it as part of a broader community of nations.
But the idea that Trump was going to torpedo a coordinated action by Europe to control his border, that's a pretty esoteric objection to Trump.
Mike Clark, he can't do anything. He sucks at everything. He sucks at
let's get
everything.
Back to that.
He can't run. He can't get along with the governor of Ohio, whom he desperately needs and who needs nothing from him.
First, let's get back to that issue, because this European migration thing was a digression that I introduced. As you know, being a journalist, there are two ways to exercise power.
Yeah.
One is to be nice to people you want to talk to, and suck up to them. And the other is to be really nasty to them with the implicit offer that if they're nice to you, you'll stop being nasty to them.
Right.
Okay? They both work equally well. I know journalists that practice both kinds. Okay? Why isn't Trump practicing approach number two? Kasich has been a complete jerk. Okay? So at some point he says, if you're a jerk to me, screw you, will you sit your delegation at the back of the hall?
Because, and this is why I think Trump was so unsuccessful in business, screw you. You have to be able to deliver the screwing. That what Trump never understands is when do you have leverage and when do you not have leverage. The reason obviously, look, if we were all Bob Woodward, we would never be nice to anybody as journalists. We would say, I'm about to produce my 93rd best-selling book. It will have an extremely negative portrayal of you unless you tell me the things I want to hear.
I don't think he puts it that explicitly.
So if we have the clout, that's what we do. If, however, we are from a house and we don't have that clout, then we we're nice to our sources because otherwise they won't talk to us. Why should they? What Trump doesn't understand is he can't say to John Kasich, if you're bad to me, I'll screw, because he has no ability to do that. So that's where and that is one of the things that's so alarming about this, is you realize that you have this character who is so power mad and yet has no understanding of how power works.
Which I thought he had no leverage over Megyn Kelly either. But ask her how her career is doing. I think he delivered the blow that you're saying he can't deliver. I think he's destroyed her career. I think she's tarnished. So maybe he has more power in that realm than in the political realm. But if he's president of the United States, he's got a lot of power to punish John Kasich. Okay.
If he's president, okay. So that right. But the thing that when he threatened Jeff Flake, if Jeff Flake, if you continue to sabotage me, Arizona will get nothing from Trump presidency.
Flake has been a total jerk. He's rooting openly in the press for Trump to lose.
Well, what Trump has now done has said to him, Senator Flake, here are your incentives. There's no way back. I'm your enemy. If I win, you're done for. You get nothing. Is there anything Senator Flake, can do between now and November to enhance my career? Well, Arizona is actually a surprisingly difficult state for the two places where Donald Trump will do bad in the West are places where there are both a lot of Hispanics and a lot of Mormons. Flake himself is a Mormon. Arizona is a losable state for Trump. So one would think that a Machiavellian person in Donald Trump's position would say, I will extract my revenge from the Kasichs and the Flakes after November. And I don't want to go to the byway, but the thing I'm struck by again and again and again is just as he was a terrible businessman, he wants to be president, he wants to use power for America's interests. He's not good at using power for his own interests. He doesn't think rationally about things. He doesn't make good decisions. And he is consumed always by his petty ego needs. And by the way, I don't put it past him at all on the immigration thing. The only reason that you think he will keep faith on immigration, I suspect, is because you think at this point he's in too deep. It will be too embarrassing for him to reverse course.
There's several reasons, but I think he's in too deep. It's this core of his appeal. It's like violating his brand in a way that will make him highly unpopular. And since he doesn't have any support from either party, he can be impeached in an instant, and then Mike Pence is president, and we don't even want to think about that. So he has to stick. There's a reason politicians stick with their base. That's the reason. The second thing is, I have great respect for Senator Sessions and Steve Miller, his former aide, who's still on the Trump team. As long as they're on the team, I am confident Trump will not sell out. It is possible that at some point there will be a night of the long knives and Steve Miller will be defenestrated, but they can't defenestrate Senator Sessions, and he seems to respect Senator Sessions. So Sessions has some power over him. If Sessions abandons he's badly, badly damaged. So they're both of those things. And also, I suspect he really wants to get control of the borders. So just third.
But in a long lifetime, who has Donald Trump kept faith with? Not his creditors, not his investors, not his business partners.
Well, there are people who still invest with him. He has bankers still willing to loan him money. He's made a lot of money. How bad could he be?
Well, I don't think those things are true. I don't think there are. I mean, the Deutsche Bank is the one bank that will lend him money. He finances most things through issuing to the extent that he is an operating businessman rather than just a franchiser of his brand. He finances himself with junk bonds. That's why he's in so much trouble in that Washington hotel project, because he was supposed to have investors and he couldn't get along with them, so he issued junk bonds instead. And doesn't, his family life doesn't bear a lot of comment. Why do you think he will be more faithful to you than he has been to all of those other people?
He gets huge ego rewards if he is successful, and I think who knows what motivates people, but you can usually put your finger on it. I think he wants wide acclaim and praise as a great president, and he doesn't do it by betraying his base. I actually think there's something more specific, which is going to make me sound like an idiot, but
you never.
I think there's specific members of the establishment who he wants to like him. For example, Maureen Dowd. If you look at how Maureen Dowd has treated Trump, he answers her calls right away. He's honest with her. She gets great columns. She's friendly, but then she says, "Look, Donald, you're not pivoting to being presidential." She sends up like a warning flag. Okay, everybody else is saying, "Oh, you're through. I'm never Trump." Maureen didn't do that. She said, "You better shape up, or else you'll lose me." I don't think he wants Maureen Dowd against him. Okay,
and that is reassuring to me. Why?
Because there are a bunch of people like that who he wants their esteem, and they'll. Why would any of us not sell out? Why don't I sell out everything I believe in? Because
the esteem of
everybody would laugh at me. He doesn't want people to laugh.
I wouldn't cross the block for the esteem of Maureen Dowd. Really, I mean that's another problem. Like that you want the respect of those whose respect it is worthwhile to have, and the fact if Maureen Dowd is the center of your moral universe.
I don't think it's the center of my moral universe. I just think the fate of the republic hinges on her. No, I also I think there are constraints on it. Yeah. Look, your argument is you agree with Trump on these things. Okay, there are these big issues: trade, immigration. I would say foreign policy, entitlements. You probably agree that Paul Ryan's plans to destroy to rejigger the safety net just when people are insecure about everything else. Probably a bad idea. Like right about these big issues, but you doubt his strategic wisdom in terms of whether he can bully people. That's
more extreme.
One is a huge plus. The other is a possible minus. Sometimes his strategies work, his bullying strategy. Sometimes they don't. Presumably, he learns eventually what works and what doesn't, and he tries more of the things that work.
He doesn't have any time. He doesn't have any time to learn. He has to be good now. One of the things I took away from my George W. Bush administration experience, and it is this is actually one of my foundational beliefs about politics. I've come to believe there is such a thing as being good at the job of president, irrespective of your policies. And it's possible to say of someone about whom you disagree on everything that he was good at being president. And it's possible to say of somebody with whom you agree on a lot that he was not good. What does it mean to be good? It means building processes to make sure that information is delivered in an honest and timely way, that important differences are argued fully through, that it's clear where the lines of responsibility are and who is to do what. Once a responsibility is assigned, it is not taken away except in a formal way with notice to everybody. That you understand power. You understand when you don't have it and when you have to get along with people, and you understand when you do have it. You understand these basic principles of leverage. And I have a lot of esteem and affection for George W. Bush, but I think he wasn't good at those things. And a lot of what went wrong in Iraq was the result of not doing the job of president properly. And I take it enormously seriously. Even more than I take seriously all the other things I care about on substance. Can you do this job? And when I look at Donald Trump, I see someone who every day proves to me he can't do it.
I guess I care more about substance. There are a couple of things you left out, I think. One is a good leader also, in my experience, is a little bit impulsive. I mean, the staff will be saying, "Oh, we got to do this," and he'll be thinking, "No, I want to go this way. Screw you, staff." And if he's right, that's what leadership is. Otherwise, he's just a prisoner of the bureaucracy.
He's independent, not impulsive. Okay. Impulsiveness is bad.
Okay. The second thing is he has some information system that brings him the information from the bottom that the staff tries to keep from him. And
for sure.
And so Trump, he has that. I mean, Ann Coulter tweets, and Trump changes his policy. I mean, Twitter is a very effective mechanism for bringing information from the bottom to the top. Okay.
The modern presidency was more or less invented by Dwight Eisenhower. It has antecedents before that, but it's really owed to Eisenhower, and that's sort of a model of how it's done. And I agree with you. It's not the staff alone are dangerous. There's also a cabinet system. There's also the party, and presidents have to be good at managing these and often very discordant multiple sources, and your friends from previous life. So, it would be useful if Donald Trump were a completely different person, and he were President Trump, and he was bent on a certain course, and his old friend and trusted counselor, Ann Coulter, sent him a private note that said, "I think you're being cut off from something you need to know." That should go into the process. But any president who would have a staff and cabinet and party system and then have a letter from a friend and completely change course on a dime because of that's also not how it's done.
But this was during a campaign when you have to change course of it.
When Franklin Roosevelt got that famous letter from Albert Einstein saying it was possible to build an atomic bomb, he didn't say, right, here's a check for $1 billion, go do the Manhattan Project. He then said, he put it into channels. He said, here's an idea from outside channels. But the point,
so
again,
your objection to Trump is he won't use this fustial system that Dwight Eisenhower, we were in an internet age where
objection to Trump
information moves more quickly.
Is he sucks at everything. Look at this convention. Look at his campaign.
Well, the convention hasn't started yet, so we don't know how awful it's going to be.
But
I think it'll probably be pretty bad. But
he just he doesn't have any information flows. He doesn't know what's going on, he is. He's now going to base. By the way, he's about to pivot. Talk about pivoting. He's on the verge of changing the entire campaign from being about immigration to a racial provocation against Black Americans. That's the news of the past week. Immigration out. Fox News. Black Lives Kill.
He's going to do a Nixon Law and Order number. I don't know how racist you think that is. I don't think it's explicitly racist, and I think a lot of blacks will go for Law and Order.
Well, the polls tell us it's, I think, 0%. But look, when Nixon's Law and Order campaign, it's a slogan. Nixon did use the phrase law and order. He also used the phrase "bring us together," and the latter is a more important phrase. And he did not have people around him using literally the language "Black Lives Kill," referring to both to the Black Lives Matter movement, but also allowing it to be.
You're saying that Drudge used that phrase.
Newt Gingrich used that phrase. Newt Gingrich just yesterday in an interview said this is about law and order versus Black Lives Matter, which is another.
Well, that's different. That's a very different point. That's saying Black Lives Matter has produced a Ferguson effect that has disrupted law and order across the country. This is a perfectly credible argument that Heather McDonald and others make.
Yes, there's also lowercase b, lowercase l, lowercase m, and that is Black Lives Matter. And there's some people who find that a provocative way of putting it. But you're about to discover is how much faith will he really keep? We're already hearing people say, defending Donald Trump. I think Mike Pence has said this, that the border wall will be built in the sense that, hey, we've got funding for a fencing on 1/3 of the border, and that's what we meant. We apparently have to finish in another minute or two. I just got a signal. So you get the last word to bring us to
what I do have more to say, but the alternative to not having this incompetent president, you say, pursuing the right goals, is having Hillary Clinton for 4 more years. I don't find that prospect so awful. I'm not anti-Hillary. I'm a Democrat. But it's incredibly dreary, okay? So you're going to wait until what? 2020, 2024, which Rehan and Ross Douthat say you're going to have to wait for until you get Trumpism without Trump. That ain't going to happen. So your choice is 4 dreary years of Hillary with these problems get much worse, or Trump in his ham-handed, bullying, obnoxious way, trying to produce good results. And keep in mind, he doesn't have to build the wall. As soon as Trump becomes president, the signal goes out. Things have changed. Okay, people are rushing across the border now because they're worried Trump will be president. When Trump's president, without building anything, the flow slows for a while, at least until people figure out the lay of the land. Okay, so you get an immediate benefit. However incompetent he is, people are scared of him. So I don't know. You have to somehow justify waiting for 4, 8, 12 years until the fantasy Frum candidate comes along.
No, because I actually think this is going to be congressionally led, not president. The part of the immigration enforcement I think is much more important is workplace enforcement. Make that compulsory and have real fines. The president can't do that anyway.
That's very important.
And I don't believe Donald Trump will do it. And Congress can and should. And if Republicans can hold the House and Senate, then real enforcement is something that you could maybe extract.
I think you could get a universal E-Verify bill, certainly through the House, if the Republicans hold it, and probably through the Senate if the president pushed it. If he said, "Look, we want to have this debate. You can get your amnesty in, much more quickly if we have this E-Verify system in place. People, so we should just do that. Let's just do that. Then move on to the next stage." You don't think Trump could get that through the Senate? I think he could.
I have never heard him talk about E-Verify. He cares about the wall. He doesn't care about the thing that will actually make a difference.
Bizarrely, Pence talks about E-Verify.
Right.
And Pence is a big, so Let Pence lead the charge. I mean, look, if Senator Sessions and Steve Miller go to Trump and say, look, the wall is great, but this E-Verify thing is just as important, he's going to push it. I mean, Jesus. I mean, you're thinking of reasons why Trump is bad.
No, what I'm thinking is, at some level, we're hiring somebody. And the question is, you can't anticipate every contingency. There's a basic question of, do you trust this person? Do you have respect for them? And do you think that they will keep faith with you?
We only have two choices. It's not. I mean, we're not putting out a Craigslist notice for presidents to apply, and you just haven't convinced me that the risk is you're not worried about the button. The risk is that Trump is incompetent at pursuing these good goals versus Hillary, who doesn't even want to pursue these goals, who has absolutely no answer to the problem of declining wages, and it's just four more years of the same and 4 more years of Trump mass immigration.
Wreck alliance systems. I think he will run a government that is penetrated that is both financially penetrated by people who shouldn't be there, like some of the people who are going to be speaking at the convention. One of them is a multi-level marketer, and perhaps penetrated by foreign powers as well. I could not be more worried about this presidency. And little as I like Hillary Clinton, and I like her very little, little as I like her, I think I know how to manage that and what to do. And I also know how Republicans can achieve some gains in a Hillary Clinton presidency as they achieved many gains in a Bill Clinton presidency.
Like what gains are they going to achieve?
If she wants amnesty at the end, if you care more about E-Verify than you do about amnesty, and if the Republicans can avoid the catastrophe that now threatens them, they have some clout to negotiate with someone who knows how to negotiate.
I agree that if Hillary was creative, she could get an immigration bill that I approve of through. I doubt that she's going to do that. I think Trump can do it. I'm glad we've clarified this. They're kicking us out of the room, and
thank you, Ricky.
Maybe we'll come back later. Thank you.